Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's best practice session focused on unstructured data migration. I'm here again with Benjamin Henry, Field CTO at Komprise. And in today's session, we're going to focus on setting up my migration.
All right, thanks, Darren. So in our previous sessions, we talked about analysis, getting your data stores added, understanding your cold data footprint. Then we jumped into being fiscally responsible and reducing your data prior to migrations. And now we're at the point where we have to do something with our data. We have to move it. So what does Komprise support? Well, NAS to NAS, object to object, NAS to object, or object to NAS. So let's rewind to number one, NAS to NAS. What do I mean there? Well, that's SMB to SMB, NFS to NFS, multi-protocol, migrating double byte characters, special characters, long path names, using snapshots as a source, and even automatic share creation. Moving forward, we do object to object. Well, what do we see there? Customers migrating between cloud vendors, on-prem to on-prem, or on-prem to the cloud, or repatriation of cloud back to on-prem again, all supported. NAS to object, object to NAS. Where are we seeing these used? Well, Komprise number one does allow you to preserve your permissions in this process. So we're seeing a lot of customers use this for the introduction of AI within their organization when they want to leverage something that requires the data to be in native object format. We help you in that situation, take the data to that vendor and also bring it back in a format that you can consume. With that, let's dive in and actually see how fast it can be to set up a migration. All right, so on my screen here is the migration tab. We're going to go ahead and click Add Migration. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to choose my source. This time I'm going to choose a Windows server. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. I'm going to choose my destination. I'm going to pick, I don't know, let's go to the NetApp. I'm going to say Next. I'm going to say Standard Migration. I'll come back and cover what this means here in a minute. I'm going to choose the default schedule, which says run my migration job every 24 hours from completion. I'm going to look at my settings on migrating the access time, migrating the ACLs, validating the transfer. I'm going to leave all those turned on. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And here is my summary screen. All I have to do is click that Start Migration and I'm up and running. That's how fast it can be. So let me back out of this and let's start over and do it a little bit slower this time and talk about some more of these options. So Add Migration, again, come over here, choose my data store, my source being Windows Server. But this time I'm going to drop down Advanced. And I'm going to talk through this top to bottom. At the top, I have the entire share or directory. So I can choose, do I want to take the entire share or just a directory or subdirectory within that share? I can choose as the source read only, preserve access times on the source if that's supported, and I can also set up this source to use snapshots as well, rather than using the live data. All right, I'm going to choose the defaults again and go ahead and click Next. My destination was NetApp, so let's come down here, choose my NetApp, and I'm going to go ahead and choose my share. Again, I can say my source is going to take over the entire destination, like for like, or I can collapse this migration. Let's just say I have several source shares I want to bring into one destination share. I can say, you know what, take that data, drop it into a directory within here. I'm going to choose entire share. From here, migration type, standard, keep latest version. There's also a third that you're not seeing here because this data is not preloaded. So what do I mean by this? So standard migration, make an exact copy of it. The destination is empty. If my destination already had data in it. So why would my destination already have data in it? Maybe I tried RoboCopy or another migration software package and it didn't work the way I wanted, but I don't want to copy that data over again. So that's great. We'll recognize that data is already there. We're going to show you that data is there and just say, hey, do you want to keep this data? If so, that's fine. We won't recopy it unless the source has a newer version. Keep latest version. That's an advanced cutover technique we're going to cover in a later presentation. So I'm going to choose standard here. I'm going to choose my schedule. You have two different types. You have the interval based, which says start my next iteration so many minutes, hours, days from the completion of the first. Our default is about every 24 hours. So it says from completion of the last iteration, restart it one day. I can also say use time of day. Start this job 7 p.m. every day. I can say days, months. I have all different configuration items here. All right. I also have the option to stage the migration. If I don't want to start the migration right away at the completion of this, whether I use interval or time of day, I have this little toggle switch that I can turn off and say, you know what, just stage it. I want to start it later. So I'm going to go back up, use interval. I want it to start when we're done. And then we get down to the finals, or next to final screen, which is choosing what features do I want to use during this migration job. Migrating my access time, migrate my ACLs, validate the transfer. So if you have a storage technology that doesn't support A-time, simply turn that off. If you don't want to migrate your ACLs, and what's a use case for that? Cross-domain, or you're merging Active Directory environments and you want the data to be re-permissioned on the other side, that's fine. Turn this off. As the data lands, you'll get all the new permissions. Validate the transfer. Depending on the protocol, it's either MD5 or hash value. When you do this, you're building a chain of custody. You're saying the hash values, the MD5 values, the checksums of these files match. And it's a way for you to prove to auditors and regulatory agencies that you have migrated the data to the other side successfully. All right, now we're to the last screen, which is my summary screen, showing me all the options that I've selected. And all I have to do is click Start Migration. That's it. We're up and running. Back to you, Darren.
That was great, Benjamin. You covered a lot of ground, but there's a lot more that we can cover when it comes to Komprise Elastic Data Migration. Any other highlights here?
Yeah, what we didn't get into is tuning the migration. We didn't talk about hypertransfer, any of those. So definitely contact your CSM or your SE to dive into this in more detail. But we have a few more presentations coming up, so I might have a chance to cover some of those options for you.
Fantastic. In the meantime, you can go to komprise.com/migration and learn more about how to get started with Komprise. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.